Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host Jay. I'm here with my co-host Brad.
What a hell of a week this week. A little bit lower key in some respects.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a pattern emerge. I don't know if a lot of people have heard about this. I'm pretty politically astute. Think it's the guns, guys. I think it's the guns. I don't know.
It's the guns. Stupid.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That could be the show title pretty much for every other episode. I'm
about to say like the show title in perpetuity, it's the guns, stupid. So
yeah, we could just make that the evergreen subtitle for this show and every other political show. So yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of things, but let's jump right into it. There was a massive court settlement in the Dominion versus Fox News case. Right before, I agree, thumbs down, right before they were set to bring Rupert Murdoch, Maria Bartiromo, Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham up to the stand along with other producers and other behind-the-scenes Fox News people. Fox News are like, whoa. We don't want that so badly that we'll pay you almost $800 million if you could just let us not admit on the stand that we absolutely knew the big lie was bullshit and that we were peddling bullshit and letting people come onto our network and peddle bullshit while we texted about how much bullshit it truly was. Yes. Brad, you want to give a big thumbs down. So why are you against these people getting their money?
I'm not against Dominion getting their money. I just really wish that they had bothered to take them to trial first. And I acknowledge that Dominion is not here on this planet to be the savior for American democracy. That's not their job. They're a company. Their goal is to make money. And this judgment literally triples the worth of the company in one fell swoop.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that they were Fox's crosshair. But it just sucks, right? Because like they had all this fucking amazing evidence, and Fox knew that they were fucked. Otherwise, why the fuck are you going to settle to the tune of nearly 4/5 of $1 billion? Unless you know that you're fucked, and you know that to save yourself the embarrassment of having to have your mega personalities up on the stand and admit that they knew that the shit that they were peddling was bullshit. Which then could be, probably played in on many TV stations around the country for a long, long time. That's worth much more than $800 million or $700 some odd million to Fox, is to keep those people safe, which is an insane thing to say. But when you're Fox, your lack of credibility is really the only thing you have.
It's the only credit you have.
That's right.
Yeah, So I agree with you. It is not Dominion's responsibility. And look, I know what you're thinking. Hey, man, this sucks, and I'm really mad about it. But here's the thing. There's another lawsuit coming right on the back of this, which is from Smartmatic, who is another voting machine company that was dragged through the mud, specifically by Fox News and other conservatives. And they have a $2.5 billion lawsuit against Fox News that has been given the green light to proceed by a judge. So they're coming right off the backs of the information that was put out into the public from this Dominion case. So they're already starting on third base. They don't have to do all the discovery and the work. They're already there, right? Let alone all the information that they have on top of this. What is interesting is, and we'll talk about the political ramifications in a moment, because I think those are actually incredibly important. But what it does tee up is that Fox has a price, and their price is about $800 million. Well, if I'm Smartmatic, I want to see just how flexible that price is. And I bet it's a hell of a lot higher than $800 million, to be honest. Now, what I would like to see is Smartmatic go the distance. Get these guys on the stand and put them under oath and make them say it.
They're not. Look, like you said, they'll work whatever settlement they can out of them. What I really wish, like if you're going to negotiate a settlement, okay, that's fine, but at least make it a contingency of the settlement that Fox has to go on the air, and like Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham and Maria Bartiromo and all these other people that were peddling this bullshit have to get up in front of a camera and be like, hey, like, we knew that this stuff was false and we still fed like to give them mea culpa and make them say it. Like even if Dominion had settled and that was a part of the settlement, I would have been satisfied. Even though we wouldn't have gotten the fun and hilarity of seeing the Fox folks up on the stand and have forcing to testify under oath. Like, that would have been more fun. But like I said, forcing them to go on air and admit that they're full of shit would have been a nice consolation prize. Right. Instead, Dominion's getting their money, and deservedly so. But then Fox can do the old classic, without admitting any actual wrongdoing.
And that's exactly what they did, right? They kind of gave a mealy mouth response and like, well, we settled, but it's for freedom or whatever fucking bullshit they can come up with, and that people will buy. Look, I'm not personally impressed by Fox's ability to tell the truth. I don't know why anyone would be. But I did kind of want to see him pay. I did. I will happily admit that. But they're not going to, at least not right now. But I do think Smartmatic, I think they have an ability. Like, will they just do a settlement? Sure, that's possible. But they also just have an ability to push these guys to the line. They absolutely could just push these guys to the line, and I would hope that they would. So I do, however, want to play a clip of my man Jake Tapper over at CNN reporting on this, because
continuing to keep it the realist. Jake Tapper.
I love this. So here you go. Here's Jake Tapper talking about this.
Trying to put a positive face on what can only be interpreted as one of the ugliest and most embarrassing moments in the history of journalism. Fox issued a statement saying, quote, "We are pleased to have reached a settlement of our dispute with Dominion voting systems. We acknowledge the court's rulings finding certain claims about Dominion to be false. The settlement reflects..." I'm sorry, this is going to be difficult to say with a straight face. "This settlement reflects Fox's continued commitment to the highest journalistic standards. We are hopeful that our decision to resolve the dispute with Dominion amicably instead of the acrimony of a divisive trial allows the country to move forward from these issues." Unquote. Let's bring back CNN legal.
I love it, dude. I love it. But shout out to Jake Tapper for that, just because that's, like, he's not always the best, but when he can be a real prick, he really enjoys being a prick about it. I love that. It's going to be hard to say this with a straight face. Yeah, no shit. No kidding. But I did enjoy that. Look, again, you can push these guys to the line if you want to. If you're more concerned about just getting your dollars, I understand that you're a corporation. You have a fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders and everyone else to do that. But there's a part of me that thinks you could probably get a lot of money and still burn these guys a bit, right? Like, I think you could. Like, I think but
that's not their interest, because that's going to cost you even more in lawyer fees, and it's going to, like I said, like the cost stacks up. And again, their interest is not exposing Fox. Like, I mean, it is exposing Fox, but their ultimate interest is not exposing Fox for the American public. It's just to back Fox into a corner and make a shitload of money, which is what they did, and that's exactly what Smartmatic will do as well. Now, the fact that Fox settled is, a bit of a poison pill in itself. Like, so if you're at when you see your racist aunts and uncles for Memorial Day in a couple weeks, they go on the right wing bullshit and talk about how Fox is the real news. You'd be like, oh, really? If they're so real, if they're the real news, then why do they have to pay? Why do they choose to pay Dominion nearly $800 million for talking about some bullshit?
Oh yeah, probably because of Hunter Biden's laptop or something. I don't know. Pick a buzzword.
Yeah.
Joe
So
Biden.
at least
Joe
there was
Biden
that.
controls the judge. Well, yeah, okay, that's how
Yeah.
it
So
works.
at least we got that much going for us.
Yeah.
So.
Look, as I've long stated, this show, if it serves nothing else for you, it is to give you information to throw in the face of your racist aunt or uncle during the holiday season.
It's really our primary purpose for existing is just to arm you with retorts and you know, that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, smart aleck behavior. Look, it's that's what we do here. It's a public service. So the other part of this that I want to talk about that I think is incredibly important is what is the political fallout, right? Not with Fox News and not with people going on Fox or anything like that, but the 2024 election. This is a hot button, still smoking issue. That the election is in fact rigged according to Donald Trump and many people in the Republican Party, maybe even his future vice presidential candidate, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Although maybe Lauren Loomer, I don't know. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene is mad because Trump is thinking about hiring Laura Loomer, and she's like, that woman's crazy. That's my thing.
Yeah, it's weird that she's turned into like what passes for a moderate in the MAGA wing of the party.
Yeah.
Like if you compare against all the other MAGA heads, she's turned into like a moderating force, not
so
just
weird.
Completely out there, which is batshit wild to me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's her recognizing that she needs to tone it down a smidge if she wants to actually be on his ticket and
you know
running
what,
for vice president.
Whatever you need to do, because let's get real, you can't help but let that freak flag fly the second you're on that ticket. Go ahead, by all means. Look, it's going to bring out the crazies, just like it did with Sarah Palin. But, Democrats are going to be like, Trump again? And this lady? Hell no, dude. No, they'll come out in droves against you. Like, sure, you want to put that nutcase on the ticket? By all means, go for it. Can't wait to hear her new thoughts on lasers. But there is a 2024 conversation to be had here, right? So this is a hot, smoking, still very real issue in 2024. How do you cover this and have any level of... Okay, clearly Fox is trying desperately to like be nice about it, but try to move to Ron DeSantis as their guy, right? They're trying, but more on that later. It's not really working. But if they fail and don't get DeSantis over the line, and Trump is the nominee again, because that is literally your only other option, unless Trump dies during the primary. Oh no, I'm very upset about it. Statistics. And so if it is Trump, and it at this point it looks like it most likely will be him again, he is always going to talk about this. How do you cover him as Fox News on this issue? Do you just not mention it every time he goes on your show?
That's exactly what's going to happen. They're just gonna pretend like oh, what do you think about Trump talking about Dominion? Who now? What? I didn't hear him say Dominion. What?
Right?
Did you hear him say Dominion? I didn't hear it. So,
by the way, are they going to sue Trump? I would. At this point, I would.
Yeah, can't hurt.
Yeah, no, take him to court. Guess what? Again, like I've said in the last couple of months, there's blood in the water. The sharks will come. Hey, man, you already got one case going. You already tried to delay your rape case. That just got denied this week. Best of luck. Like you got Georgia coming up. We'll talk more about that. Like there's a lot of shit happening, dude. I'd throw my hat in the ring. I'd be like, hey, Dominion's back, baby. Like we're going again. So I am curious as to what your thoughts are. Okay, so they don't cover it, right? Like they don't cover it directly. But it is going to be an issue for Republicans in general that their guy potentially will be out here screaming about a conspiracy theory that has been fundamentally knocked down. Like that's got to hurt him.
Right, but I mean, even before this, like go back to 2016, like the talk about election fraud from Republicans has gone back to when Trump won his election. Like he fucking won it. And they were talking about fraudulent elections because they were embarrassed that he lost, that he got spanked in the popular vote, even though he managed to win the Electoral College. So I think that's the pivot. I think you don't call out a specific company by name, but you talk about, you know, you just say election fraud, you just say, you know, irregularities in voting and, you know, illegal voting and the same shit that they've been parroting forever. I really don't think that this changes anything in how they cover the election, except for maybe they won't book people as batshit insane as Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani that they know were batshit insane before they book them to appear on these shows.
Yeah. Problem is Tucker Carlson may not have that option because his boy, Mike Lindell, Mr. Pillow, is his number one sponsor on his show. Did you know that?
I did. Yes.
Yeah, everybody has left his show.
Very well aware.
Because, you know, his white power hour. But Mike Lindell is hanging in there trying to sell a bunch of shitty pillows to people. So it'll be interesting. I don't agree with you. I don't think that this is going to be a non-issue. I think they're going to have to tap dance really lightly, and it will be interesting to see how they cover him. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think this might have more influence than you realize, but that's just my speculation. I don't know. But yeah, we shall see.
We'll also see if Trump really does. It depends on who's around him, I guess, right? Because like anyone that's on his campaign, even if they too are like MAGA heads, are going to be smart enough, I would assume, to realize that the election fraud conversation is a non-starter.
Yeah, no kidding.
With most Americans, and that people don't want to hear about that shit. And like, if you're going into 2024 still carrying a grudge and bitching about 2020, and that's the thing you're primarily carrying with you, it's a recipe for disaster. Now, I understand that he will have trouble stopping that from happening or from stopping himself. But if there's enough people around him that are smart, they will do everything that they can to kind of throw themselves in front of that speeding bullet as it's coming at him. So
yeah, you would hope, right? You would hope, right. Because it does seem like, dude, this is pretty obvious. You may want to just move away from this. But the guy is so goddamn arrogant. Like that's always been his biggest issue, is that he thinks he knows more than everybody. And it's like, look, you don't. You really don't. So yeah, we'll see. All right, let's move on from there. It turns out, and you know, this is actually a perfect pivot off of the previous story, because it turns out when old people watch Fox News, they get their minds poisoned. There's been documentaries about this and, you know, things like that. And I think that this is a bigger problem than people truly realize. And I can't specifically say this is Fox News, but the results are very Fox Newsian, right? With this idea of roving gangs of minorities are coming to kill old people, right? Get as many guns as you can, because the world is a hellscape, especially, you know, young black and brown people coming from the cities to your your suburban or rural environments to hurt you. Like, if there's a knock at the door, you better be ready to fucking fight. You need a gun because they all have guns and you got to be the first one to shoot, right? That sort of idea. This is rhetoric. This is the type of rhetoric we hear from conservative outlets all the time. Not just Fox News, but other conservative outlets, but definitely from Fox News and conservative politicians. Well, over the past week, two separate cases really hit major headlines this week. One, a young woman, she was, I believe, 20 years old. Yes, 20. Who was in upstate New York. Her name is Kaylin Gillis. She was a passenger in a vehicle that had pulled into the wrong driveway. And this is in upstate New York, so not outside of New York City, in like a rural kind of part of New York. And her, I guess, she and three others were in a car and they pulled into the wrong driveway, right? People do it all the time. People like pull in partly in your driveway to kind of turn around. I have a driveway. People do that. Drives me crazy, right? Makes me hurt. I'm like, get out of here.
Wait, they do it in your driveway. You live in a fucking cul-de-sac. They don't even need the driveway.
Yeah, I know, but people often, I know, I live in like a suburbia fucking nightmare. But it's people don't realize because of the way my street is. My street name picks up behind like my block, so people just who don't know just drive straight up my street like it's just a pass through, and they're like, "Oh fuck, it's a cul-de-sac," and so they don't want to drive all the way to the top of the cul-de-sac, so they'll turn around at my driveway or my neighbors. So this happens. This is a common thing. Yeah. Everyone has. If you've driven a car before, and not in like just in a city, but like driven anywhere where people have driveways, you've likely done this or had it done to you if you have a driveway, right? It's not that big of a deal. Well, these young people in this car, they drove into the wrong driveway. And a 65-year-old man, Kevin Moynihan, fired 2 shots from his front porch into the car. They never got out of the car. They just pulled into the wrong driveway. He shot 2 bullets into their car, killing this woman immediately. Because he thinks they're coming for him. Right? At the same time, that was in upstate New York. A day or two later, a young black teenager, 16 years old, was shot twice in Kansas City, Missouri, where he was going to pick up his brother, and he picked his brother. He went to the wrong house, and he rang the doorbell. A capital offense. He rang the doorbell and was shot through the door once, and then the person came out and shot him in the head. He luckily
other way around. The shot through the door, he was shot in his head. And then while he was laying on the ground, this dude comes out of his house and shoots him, aims for his chest, shoots him a second time, and hits his arm.
Okay.
As he's laying on the ground.
The person who shot him, his name is the young kid's name is Ralph Yarl. He was shot by an 84-year-old. See a pattern?
And fortunately survived despite being.
Yeah, he did survive. He's out of the hospital, thankfully. Do you see a pattern? Like America?
Yeah.
Do you see a fucking pattern here? You are telling old people to be terrified, and they are shooting people for nothing at this point. This is not castle doctrine. This is not someone breaking into the house. This is not some bullshit excuse that right-wingers love to look for. Well, he was looking in the window. No, dude, he rang the doorbell.
Yeah.
You're inside the house.
And the point,
hey man,
and the point
what
that,
do you want?
The point that folks have been making, and like, the family's attorney and other officials in Kansas City have been making about that. Like, if it's okay to shoot this kid for ringing your door, does that mean that you can open fire on postal workers, on Amazon and UPS and FedEx delivery drivers, on DoorDash folks coming up to your door to deliver food just because you don't like the color of their skin? Like, right. is that what you're like? If the person who shot this kid, because he has been arrested and is being charged with first degree assault, which is the highest crime they could charge him with, even though they probably could have made an argument to charge him with attempted murder, considering.
I would say attempted murder. You shot him in the head and then you walked out. You surely saw him down and then you shot him again. Why? Yeah.
But if you if the stand your ground defense law is applicable in this sense, then where does it stop? Where's the line then at that case?
Yeah, your castle, your ground was not being attacked. You were not in danger. The point of stand your ground, and I think it is a piss poor law, by the way, is to protect your house. Right? Someone comes into your house, you have the right to defend your house. That is totally fine. Ringing your doorbell is not an assault.
Yeah,
it's not.
Do you know how many people ring my doorbell that I fucking like hide from just because I don't want to fucking answer the door and talk to a stranger.
Right.
Get the fuck out of here.
You
I
don't
got
see
better
Brad
things to do.
shooting through a door because of Jehovah's
No.
Witnesses have shown up. Like, that's crazy. Yeah, look, both of these stories really bothered the shit out of me.
Mhm.
Like, it really did, because again, they're very young. They're 20 and 16. They are kids. Both of them are kids. And both of the people who shot are elderly men.
Mhm.
Because they are so convinced that the world is ending. It's crumbling down around them. This is not a good thing. This is a bad idea that we have passed laws like castle doctrine laws and stand your ground laws, because they aren't ever used in this like, oh, they were trying to rob me. It's like, fear for my life, so I shot into a car in my driveway. Dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? What if that was somebody that you knew, by the way, and they were just in someone else's car? Hey, man, I got Steve to drop me off. And you just start firing a gun into, like, that's insane. It's insane. Was that your mom or your sister or some shit?
And see, like to me, like this isn't a new phenomenon. How many cop shootings do we have that an officer, I feared for my life against this unarmed person, you know what I mean, who's in their car and just happens to be black, you know what I mean, and we're gonna unload. Yeah, we're gonna unload 20 rounds into this guy because I was afraid for my life. Like, no, you're a fucking scared bitch who had an itchy trigger finger.
Yeah,
that's exactly what happened, and that's all it is. And that's what it is in this case. And like you said, you have right-wing media poisoning these dudes, poisoning their minds, making like fear mongering, like dealing in just making people scared as shit, and combine that with easy, almost unfettered access to guns, even if you live in a state that it has is highly restrictive of firearms. It's not easy to get a gun in New York, but it's not impossible. And there's also a bunch of states around New York where it's super easy to get a gun. That if you really wanted to get a gun, you could just hop on over to Ohio or hop on over to Pennsylvania or hop on over, to any of these other states where it's, the laws aren't nearly as restrictive. And that is when you combine those two things together, when you're training people to be scared and dealing in preying on like the worst senses, and you give them easy access to deadly weapons. Well, what the fuck do you think's going to happen?
Yeah. Again, you literally have a generation that is on the way out, killing young people in this younger generation because they are so fucking terrified of everything. Again, that interview that went viral of Jon Stewart just super dunking on that local politician about guns, there's a part of that interview that I don't think people have noticed or talk about enough, which was, the early part of the interview, he goes, like, you say that more guns makes us safer, right? We have 400 million guns in this country. What's the number where that starts to kick in, where everything starts to be safe? And the guy's like, listen, it isn't the guns that are the problem. It's the people, and we need to start dealing with, the things that are making these people dangerous. But at the same time, one, that's rhetoric. It means nothing because you don't actually fund any of that shit, right? You don't care about mental health. But outside of that, you can't then keep giving people guns while you're trying to figure out this other thing. You don't flood the system with guns and be like, well, it's a people problem, but keep flooding them with guns. Well, how is that? How are you fixing the problem while giving them weapons of war? It doesn't make any sense. The reality is, that it's too many guns. That people have unfettered access, but you're so bought into that argument that you can't figure out a way out of it. So you're just saying things that don't logically make any sense. Hey, man, a lot of kids are getting killed. It's people. It's not the guns. Then why do you keep giving people guns? You're against most red flag laws, right? So what is the argument here? Again, sometimes you can be so deep into your own argument that you're actually terrified to like deeply look at what you're saying. So you just keep digging yourself in. And that's where
it's also the problem when your stance is based in absolutism. Like when you fucking put a hard wall up straight away and be like, no, like the Second Amendment says like unfettered access and that means everything. Like then you find yourself in more ridiculous situations as the weeks go by. It's, we talked about last week that like Ted Cruz is, like put out a tweet that's like, I want schools to be like a bank so that it's safe and people have guns. And then like 10 days later, there's a shooting at a bank that had an armed security guard that couldn't do shit to stop it because, having a fucking, automatic rifle is no match for a security guard with a handgun. And and then the Republican response to that is, well, you just need to give these guys better weapons. What? Like fucking they're so like I'm most people that follow this network know I'm like an avid board gamer. There's this thing especially in like collectible card games called power creep, where when you make like a really powerful card and you don't like nerf it, you don't like scale back how good it is, then the only way to like that becomes like the dominant card in the game's meta. And so the only way to to overcome that, if you're not going to nerf it, is to make an even more powerful card that counters it. But then you have to counter that card, and then you make an even more powerful card, and it becomes this race to the top of insane cards. When really the smart thing to do was just nerf the first card that you made too powerful, and to bring it back down to a more playable state. The solution here is not more guns. The solution here is not more powerful guns. It's less guns.
Yeah.
It's not fucking hard.
Yeah.
It's really not.
But again, I'm not sure how many 16-year-olds or 20-year-olds need to die because old people are scared.
Forget that.
And by the way, those two old guys' lives, and by the way,
Yeah.
those old guys, their lives are also ruined. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know that those guys, like, I'm not going to speculate that like they wanted to kill him. No, dude, their minds are so fucking insane that or likely are so fucking insane that they think they're like we're being attacked, right? This 85-year-old dude wakes up the next day and he's like, "Oh my god, I killed this kid." Or, "Oh my god, I shot this kid twice." And this kid was innocent, right? Like after you come out of the fucking bullshit and it's like, "Welcome to reality, Jethro." He's like, "Oh shit. Oh my god, I didn't mean to do this." Right?
Well,
unless he's like a hardcore racist, right? Like that's what he wanted to do. Maybe, right?
Unless he's going to plead guilty to the charges against him, I'm gonna have to assume that he's probably a bit of a hardcore racist until otherwise proven. Sorry, I don't give the benefit of the doubt.
Right? No, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I think if you're just rolling the dice, you're probably coming out on top on that one, right? But the young girl who gets killed, right? This guy's shooting from his porch. How clearly can he see the people in the car? Not that clear, right? Mm-hmm. That's obvious. That guy, I think, was 65 years old. He's got to wake up the next day and go, "Oh, Jesus Christ, I fucking shot an innocent girl. I not just shot her, killed her." What does that do to the fucking psyche of a guy who yesterday is just sitting there watching fucking Fox News, just letting it just get thrown into his head, or watching some dumb YouTube playlist of like, crimes that are coming for you. MS-13 is coming for you, that type of shit. This guy's life is ruined. Mm-hmm. That girl's parents' lives are ruined because they lost their child. Again, she's 20. Meanwhile, this other guy, he's 85, right? He's on the tail end of his life, but he's got to, unless he's a racist, he's got to wake up and live with that, right? That what he did. That kid, hopefully the rest of his life is normal. Mm-hmm. We don't know. He was shot in the head. So how the fuck do you know how normal his life is going to be comparative to what it is, right? But those are 4 lives that are ruined. Because we are just poisoning these people against their own fellow citizens. That's a problem. That has nothing to do with the quote-unquote mental state, though, I mean, I guess it does have to do with the mental state, but it isn't just that. It is literally because they have guns. An old person can be paranoid and just be like, "Ooh, young people, and then just stay away. That's happened since the beginning of time, right? You get old, you get a little bit more scared. You're not as strong and you're not as tough. You think people are going to take advantage of you. That is normal shit. But when you tell those same people, here, take an AR-15 and protect yourself, well, it's when you have a hammer, every problem is a nail, and that's the fucking problem. I'm so very sick of this.
And again, it's gonna be something else next week, and something else the week after that, because we're not actually fixing the problem. We're just circling the problem, and we're on two separate sides, and one side says fucking morons, less guns, and the other side's like, no, all the guns. And nothing's ever going to get done. The states are fucked because most states are either hardcore blue and hardcore red. The hardcore blue states have the laws that they need, but they can't stop people from going into the fucking hardcore red states where it's easy to get guns, and that becomes a problem, and round we go. So
yeah,
what it's really going to take, and I don't know if this is even possible. It's going to take someone like an Illinois to like sue the state of Indiana and some of the other neighboring states around them for making it too easy for their citizens to access firearms, because they're going to be like, look, we have these gun laws in place for a reason. Your inability to control the flow of these weapons in your state is having an inverse impact on our state. And it's hurting us, and I'm sure someone can frame the legal case. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take one state suing another state and winning as well. And it probably would get
best of
thrown
luck
out.
with that.
Yeah, I was about to say, and it would probably get thrown out anyway by the time it got appealed up to the Supreme Court, because we are where we are with that right now.
Yeah, so. I don't know, man.
But that's what I would do. Like if you're finding all these, if Illinois police are finding all these guns that weren't purchased in the state of Illinois that are involved in all these crimes, well, they got to be coming from somewhere. Where are they coming from? So
again, like when you look at the worst places to have like the worst gun deaths. You know, the U.S. is not, at least in 2019, was not the top. It's Brazil, right? And Venezuela is right behind them. So, like, I'm just curious.
But we shouldn't be anywhere near the top of that conversation. No. We are supposed to be the most advanced, the most civilized, the most economically prosperous country on this fucking planet.
Yeah,
but isn't that undermined when you have this problem that you can't fix? Like when your statistics are as high as some countries that have a lot more poverty, a lot more strife, than your country does, and you can't seem to fix this problem.
Right?
Like I'd be embarrassed. I'd be embarrassed. I am embarrassed. Sorry, right? I am embarrassed. I fucking live here. I'm an American citizen. I am embarrassed.
Right?
That's the case.
I mean, it's amazing. It's just amazing that we are still fighting this issue, and I'm not sure that we won't be still fighting it in 20 years.
Not unless, like I said, it would take.
I honestly don't even know. I don't know what it would take.
The only thing I could think of is an armed fucking assault on the U.S. Congress that literally kills like tens of Congress people,
right?
Mostly Republicans. Like they just fucking kill Democrats. They'd be like, "See, you need more guns, fucking idiots."
Yeah,
carry guns all the time. But like you said, even then, who knows if that would actually?
I mean, again, Steve Scalise was shot, and he was just like, "Yo, we need more guns." I'm like, "Yo, you got all right." Like, yeah. Best of luck, man.
But I'll tell you this: I'm fucking sick and tired of talking about it every week.
Yeah,
and we don't talk about it every week. Like we've talked about it the last several weeks. Yeah, we talked about it the last several weeks because
the big shootings,
right? Or the ones that are insanely egregious. Like something did also strike me when I heard the story, like when the story came out about what happened to Ralph Yarl. Like something triggered in my head, even though that wasn't a mass shooting like incident that we normally cover. Like just like this dude like fucking ringing the doorbell while black is now a thing that black people have to be concerned about amidst all the other things, amidst driving while black, amidst walking in a park while black, amidst jogging while black.
Look, let me tell you a little story. This is not new for us. It's not new for us. Look, I have a young daughter, and my daughter will be 4 years old in a couple weeks. And so like where her playroom is on the ground level of my house, right? There's a big window, and sometimes we have it open, sometimes we don't. We live in a very safe neighborhood. Like we don't have any issues, even though I live in Baltimore. I know everybody thinks it's like a fucking. It's not all the wire, okay? It's like
I don't know. You do live in West Baltimore. So.
That's true. I live very very West Baltimore. Yeah. No, I live in a like grossly safe area, right? And so her playroom is like on the ground level, and I have neighbors who are white, and their kids were just like we're good friends with them, right? And their kids are a little bit older than her, and they were running outside like across their front lawn onto our front lawn, right? Which is fine. I don't give a shit. They're my friends, and they're my friends' kids, and they were like looking in the shade was up, and they were looking in the window, and they were like waving, like hey, and totally fine. It's like what kids do. And I told my daughter, this maybe about a year ago, and I told her, I said, you cannot do that. You can't. And if you are a parent listening to this, or you're a black person, you got this talk before. You are not allowed to do that because some white person may see you and think that you are a threat, and they will shoot you. Here is the story. This story of this young black kid, and I don't mean to trivialize the shooting of this young white girl either. Again, a fucking horrible tragedy. She died, right? This is a horrible tragedy. But that story of that young black kid, it resonated with me because I got that talk. You don't do that. You don't look in people's houses. You don't do shit like that because that is a very real thing. And when you say things like that to white people who are less aware, unlike you, right? They go, you're being ridiculous. That's crazy. That's crazy. No, it isn't. And this is the reason that black people have these thoughts with their kids.
Right. It's because they can't relate because
it doesn't happen to
them. Never had that talk. Never had to have that talk when I was growing up as a kid. Never once have I knocked on someone's door. Never once have I been pulled over by a police officer. Never once have I done anything in my life where I'm just like, oh shit, got to make sure I don't get shot here. Like this, like real risk of being shot. Yeah.
But in this new version of America that we have all grown up in, and that we are steeping our children and ourselves in day after day in this level of violence, it is a talk you have to have with your kid now, even if they are white.
Well, and with my kid as well, because he is special needs, and I've seen an untold amount of stories of cops acting with extreme aggression towards kids with special needs because they don't have training to deal with that, and because those kids and those people don't understand.
Right, and you can't explain that to your son in the same way that I can explain to my daughter. Right, so and that's a very dangerous situation. So like that idea of like what that talk is, that's no longer a black thing. It's just a parent thing now. Now you have to tell your kid, be very careful about what driveway you pull into. Yeah, make sure that if you go to pick up your brother, that this is the address, this is what the house looks like. Here's a picture of the house. Right, you have to be extra vigilant. Right, there is a thing with black people. I don't know if white people do this, but I know where it comes from with us. Right, black people, we do this. You come to my house to hang out. Like if you came over and you're like, let's like hang out, watch a movie or whatever. When you leave, it's an unwritten rule, and we say it anyway. You text when you get home. That's what black people do to other black people. We do that shit. Text when you get home. Why? Because there was a time where black people would leave the house or leave their friend's house and they did not make it home, right? So, you can draw that shit all the way back to slavery if you want to, duh. But even a little bit more modern than that, Jim Crow and shit like that, that was a thing that happened to us. So there is a thing built into us, like you always check in. If you can, I mean, obviously back then they couldn't text, but you check in. You can check in now. You let me know that you got home, right? Because we didn't know. But guess what, white people? You got to do that shit now too, because you have made it a situation in America. It's not all white people's fault, but it's definitely conservative white people's fault. You have made a condition in America that your kids are at danger for the little shit just existing, which is exactly what black people have been dealing with their entire lives.
There was another story.
Welcome to our America now.
Yeah. There's another story that's not in our docket. Two middle-aged white men, got into a road rage incident with each other and shot at each other. Cool. And the people that got shot were their 5 and 14-year-old daughters.
Oh, I remember that story. Yeah.
Who were in the car. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? Yeah, two middle-aged, are you just fighting in the street? Come on, man. Why, he cut you off? You son of a bitch. And then just keep going. Like, when you getting out of your car to fight a guy?
I will give you a pro tip, and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna end this segment a little bit more lighthearted. So my wife, who is a very angry driver, I will say, much more angry than me, because she gets very upset when people cut her off.
I can see it. She
she used to flip people off, and in this day and age, that's just not a smart thing to do anymore.
No.
But what's not as anger inducing, but much more patronizing, and that she's been doing with great effect. You give the other driver a thumbs down when
oh, I like that. I like that. That's definitely more patronizing. That's pretty good.
So try that one out. Instead of flipping someone the bird, just make sure you look at him and just give him the thumbs down when you drive by the window. Let them know that they did a poor job at piloting their automobile.
0 out of 10 would not follow. That's pretty good. I like it. But yeah, we gotta. I won't tell my. I'll let it leave on that high note. I won't tell my story. I told Micah and Terrence once about me taking a spot this white woman thought belonged to her, and she got out of the car and thought she was being sweet and funny, and said one of the most racist things I've ever heard. And I was like, wow, I'm just going into Trader Joe's, but cool.
I feel like you have told this story on the show before.
Have I told that story? Yeah,
it sounds vaguely familiar. I don't remember the particulars. But.
Yeah, but I'll leave it. I'll leave it. I'll tell you offline. So all right, let's move on from there. Old Puddin' Fingers is having a bad week. That's a pretty good segue.
Oh my god, I gotta say, I'm a little upset that the pudding thing has caught on. To the point that Trump actually ran an ad against DeSantis, and they literally had Ron DeSantis has his fingers in a lot more thing than pudding. I'll tell you right now. I'm just man.
That was the one, but that was the one ad he actually responded to.
I know, but I like Meatball Ron. I like Meatball Ron.
Yeah, so Meatball Ron's good, man. It fits. It kind of does.
Like I said, it's a little lowbrow. We're poking fun at the fact that the dude's little round, but I don't. It's just got a certain zing to it.
It works, right? It's
because you look at him and you're like, he does look like a meatball, doesn't he? Like he really fucking does.
Yeah, what a fucking meatball that guy is. Yeah, bring Meatball Ron back. But Old Puddin' Fingers is not bad either. So Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, he's having a hell of a week. So one of the things that he did is Thursday he went to Liberty University to kiss the ring, as you do. And that was after passing a 6-week abortion ban bill into law. He didn't even talk about it.
Nope.
By the way, that was a huge mistake.
Reportedly, abortion Not a motivating issue for Ron DeSantis. So he basically got pushed.
Yeah, I heard that too.
He pushed his party into doing that 15-week ban last year, and in response, his party's like, "Nope, not extreme enough. Let's go fucking balls to the wall." And he's like, "Ah, shit." God
yeah,
damn
he
it.
thought he could skate to the issue.
Right.
Yeah, that's a mistake. That's a huge mistake. Again, if you make it through the primary, people are going to hang that albatross around your neck in the general. 6 week? Look, 15 isn't acceptable to me. I don't think it should be a ban at all. But 6 weeks is basically banning all abortions, considering most women don't even know they're pregnant at 6 weeks. No, it's tantamount to just an outright ban.
Yes.
Where again, we talked about this. 15 weeks is a perfect political conservative point because it makes it sound like it's a big deal. Most people get abortions before 15 weeks, so you really don't stop much of anything. They get to go, hey, we did a ban. Liberals get to go, fuck off, I get to do what I want anyway. And politically, Republicans are like happy about it, right? Yeah. Liberals are not, for obvious reasons, because they don't want any bans. Again, I don't either. But if you're going to do one, and you don't want to piss off too many liberals, and you want to piss off 0 Republicans, a 15-week ban is like your perfect spot. But Ron's like, nah, fuck that. Let's go 6, because my legislature is crazy. So he didn't even bring it up to Liberty University, which is curious. My guess is he didn't want the headlines. He signed that bill, by the way, just before 11 p.m. on Thursday. He was really trying to.
He literally flew back from a book tour, signed the bill immediately, like in the dead of night, and then got right back on the fucking plane and left again. He didn't want like that. Like there was 0 pomp and circumstance behind that.
Yeah, and he is not a guy to do shit like that. So then he went and tried to have a bunch of meetings with potential donors and Republican congressmen to get endorsements. Didn't work out great. One major donor put plans to support the presidential run of Ron DeSantis, quote, on hold. GOP mega donor Thomas Petterfee told Financial Times that he and, quote, his friends are no longer backing a run because DeSantis' stand on abortion and book banning. Again, trying to go balls to the wall in a primary, it's not going to work.
And he met with Florida federal legislators while he was in DC. So people from his state, and literally immediately after leaving that meeting, Greg Steube, who's a congressman from Florida, puts out an endorsement for Donald Trump. I'm just like, holy shit.
Yeah, they don't like him. He has the thing that we've always said. He doesn't have the juice. He doesn't have the charisma. And look, you can hate Trump all you want. We do. But Trump has charisma. It's like douchey charisma, but it is charisma. And look, a lot of these guys are also douchebags. So they're like, this is our guy, right? But Meatball Ron doesn't have a personality worth shit. He just doesn't. He's again, abortion's not even his issue, but he can't even convince you that it is, right? Abortion isn't Donald Trump's issue either, but he can convince Republicans that it is his issue, that he cares about it so much. And they go, oh, yeah, no, we totally buy it. He don't give a fuck about that issue whatsoever. But he has the ability to make you think that he does. Here's another quote. If I were one of his advisors, I'd be like, dude, what are you waiting for? Right? The shots are coming regardless whether you're a presidential candidate or in an exploratory phase or dropping hints. I would have already announced. That's another thing. He hasn't announced that he's running.
Right. Well, and that's the funny thing is that so while he hasn't announced he's running, Trump is acting like he is. Trump's out here taking shots at him, and instead of firing back, DeSantis is still trying to like fucking go round with Disney, and trying to fight that fight, which is going embarrassingly poorly.
Yeah, he's threatened to build a prison next to
Yeah.
Disney. Dude, they'll just leave. They'll just leave. Then what? What if they leave Florida? What are you gonna do? Like, oh fuck. They're like the number one employer for Florida residents. Like, don't do that. Like, look, I'm not saying you should just kowtow to everything Disney wants, but you picked a beef with Disney because, like, what was the reasoning?
Because Disney spoke out against
the Don't Say Gay bill, right?
Bill, yeah,
like, dude, they're a corporation; they're allowed to do that. You could just be like, right. Fuck Disney, and then just move on. Like, why would you pick a fundamental fight with them?
Because he was feeling himself, Jay. He was on top of the world. He was feeling like, oh, like I've got this in the bag. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna fucking slay Disney. It's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna like shit. And he's like, oh, Disney. That's right. Disney has unlimited money. They can like it's, they just put out another care.
Right. They just put out another Marvel movie, and they're like, yeah, we got money. Let's go. Let's keep fighting. Like they're good to go. But I do think. Look, I think that DeSantis is in a really, really bad position right now. That's obvious. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't count him out. You know, this time around in 2008, people were like, look, Barack Obama has no chance against Hillary Clinton. And guess what? He pulled it out. So you never know. People dismiss McCain as having a chance. And he was able to pull back from behind in a huge crowded field. But I don't. Okay, let's say Ron DeSantis, fucking shits the bed here, which appears that's happening. Mm-hmm. Who outside of Trump who could beat Trump?
I mean, no one certainly that's on the scene right now.
Nikki Haley?
Fucking no. Tim Scott, no. Mike Pompeo took his 0.3% of the vote and went home last week.
I was gonna lean into that in a second.
Iron Mike.
Yeah,
Mike
John
Pence.
Sununu?
Mike Pence, no. Yeah, Chris Sununu, no.
Or excuse me, Chris Sununu.
Yeah. Like DeSantis is probably as we know the field right now, the only person who has a legitimate chance to beat Trump, and even that looks like a fleeting possibility.
Look, you're gonna have to hit him eventually. And I mean, Ron DeSantis' ad was so lame. I don't know if you heard it, where he's like, at the end, it's like, Donald Trump did this and Donald Trump did that, and it's like,
basically Trump? Yeah, basically Trump was awesome, but now he's doing all this stuff. Like the way. I'm sorry if you're putting out an attack ad against a politician, be like, this guy used to be cool, and now he's lame. Like that's not. No, that doesn't work that way.
Like people were like, oh, so even you think he's fucking great. Well, yeah. Then why do I want Trump light when I can have Trump?
I mean, at this point, with the way things have been going, I would not be surprised if DeSantis, in fact, does not even declare at this point, because he's already so far behind the eight ball. Yeah. That what are you like? Oh, it's gonna all change when we get on the debate stage. Is it? Like, do you have enough people that are willing to lie to your face like that? To be like, oh no, you can make up ground here. Don't worry. Like,
dude,
once I would one-on-one, like that'll.
I mean, look, I got to tell you, that's what I want. I want to see those two. I want to see those two go, toe to toe on a debate stage, because again, Trump is a terrible debater, but Ron DeSantis is not a good debater either. But DeSantis has no charisma.
But here's the thing, though. What I actually don't want. Is I don't want Trump to have to go toe-to-toe with someone that he clearly will mop the floor with. And the reason that I don't want that is because I don't want to give any opportunity for these like on-the-fence GOPers who really don't want to vote for Trump.
Right.
But still want to vote Republican. Like, I don't want to give them an opening to be like, oh, that's right. That's the Donnie Trump I remember. Like, oh, like that's why I voted for him back in 2016. Like, that's the dude. Like, he's back, baby. Like, we're gonna fucking do it. And like, I don't want anywhere near that. And Trump would pummel DeSantis in a debate. Like, it would be the conservative version of like when Liz Warren just fucking annihilated Michael Bloomberg live on national TV.
You know, it was like a suicide bombing situation. Right. Like, well, I'm going down and I'm taking your ass with me. It was beautiful.
Right.
So yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know what Ron DeSantis can even do to garner any sort of like mega support. I really don't.
Yeah.
You need to declare if you're going to do this. You need to declare, and you need to come out swinging, dude.
Well, and you need to do it now because I remember the first, if I recall correctly, the first Democratic debate was in July of 2019. And we are fast approaching that time period for Republicans.
Yeah.
So, like, if primary season's going to be heating up, like, we actually need people to be in the race. And again, the current crop of people that are out there,
well, it's a joke.
It is an absolute joke. And I don't even know why guys like Sununu and why guys like Tim Scott are even bothering to run. Actually, I know why Tim Scott's running. Tim Scott's auditioning for
VP.
Be vice president. Yeah. But
I could 100% see Trump picking him.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, is that going to look really, really awesome in the eyes of black people to have a black man like Tim Scott running as Trump's vice president. Chef's kiss. Can't wait to watch you get your fucking heads knocked off. Yeah, like, oh, yes, boss. Can't wait to run with you. Yeah, Tim Scott sucks. There's no more racism. Why do you keep getting pulled over in D.C.? Well, I mean,
Tim Scott can't even give a solid answer to what he thinks about abortion without filibustering for 2 minutes. So I don't know if Tim Scott's prospects are very good. I don't know if he's going to have what Trump's looking for necessarily.
No, he needs like the thing is Trump doesn't want someone who's going to outshine him, right? Because he's all id. He's going to need a younger person who's a bit of a firebrand, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not Tim Scott.
It's not Tim Scott.
Firebrand is not a word that I would associate with Tim Scott. So
right. So a younger firebrand,
mm-hmm.
He needs something that's going to change the dynamic, which is going to make people talk about it, and he needs somebody who can match the fact that Biden has a good VP. The obvious choice is Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, I mean, from his perspective, it honestly is, which is good for us. Like, because she's
but it quite literally is. He needs somebody who's going to get out there and just throw bombs constantly because he's getting old. He can't, right? He can't keep up. She'll go balls to the wall.
Yeah,
but at the same time, she will consume him. Just like Sarah Palin did to McCain, when it came down to it, more people were talking about Sarah Palin than they were talking about John McCain, and that is a terrible situation for a person running for president.
Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.